worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Hey! And away we go. On a Thursday. Welcome in on this Thursday. Hunter said, fingers crossed today's stream on YouTube is working in the audio. Hey, same here. Maybe it works. Last couple of shows we tried to, pop it out there on YouTube and Facebook and on Twitter. Well, X, formerly Twitter. That was all popping around. You couldn't hear it. It was echo. Well, maybe it's working now. Y'all have to let me know. This I do know. Beav is here. I am here. Clear as a bell on the radio. Clear as a bell on the radio. Hunter says it sounds good. Man, all right. Maybe just a good old-fashioned reboot of everything got that done. That's great. All right. And, live on the radio, clear as a bell, on the live stream, 1059thezone.com, or thezone1059.com. Get it right, Matt. Thezone1059.com, clear as a bell as well. And that means we can get into whatever we want to get into here today with you on this Thursday in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team, your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. I'm Matt Beaver here. Y'all can be a part of the show. Comment on the live stream like that. Showed you how Hunter, he typed comment in. Just type it in, post it, and it pops up right here in one nice, neat column. And we can pop it up on the screen. We can all see what you have to say. You can also text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best sausage, hands down. So text me at 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. And another good way to remember that is 885-ESPN. You can also call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. They are the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. In fact, it means they've been doing it better, longer than anybody else right here at home at Davini. So call me on this number, 897-1059. Got it? 601 number, 897-1059. Give me a shout. And look, let me just say something here. Well, have you ever heard me say this before? If you listen to this radio show, or if you're listening on the radio, however you listen, it doesn't matter. But if you listen to this show, have you ever heard me say early and often during a show these words? Quote, whatever you want to get into is cool with me. You ever heard that? Yeah. Right. Because it's, I utter it just about every day. And then some days more than others. Right? Reaction Monday after a weekend. I just take the show and put it in your lap, and whatever direction you want to drive it, it's cool with me. It's your show. On the text line, the phone line, and on the live stream. So I feel like I need to reiterate to some people listening, apparently, that I mean that with all sincerity, that it's not just a ploy or a throwaway line. I mean it. Whatever you want to get into, it's cool with me. Let's go. Because somebody messaged Jake's show yesterday afternoon and said that me and my show, and accused me of being this way. They said, since State isn't good, all he wants to talk about is food. Okay. So that being the accusation, that being the frame up is, well, since State isn't good, all he wants to talk about is food. Well, I don't know. I tried to think about that, soak that in, be open to criticism. Okay. But I really think even if State was good in football, I still think I would probably be approaching everything about the same way. I really mean that. Okay. And I know that's not the case with a lot of other people in different shows and stuff out there. It's like when their team is good, they're like, but I don't think it has anything. I really don't. Now, again, I'm open to criticism. Okay. To whatever. Now, well, first of all, let me bounce something off of Beaver real quick here. This is my final show of the week. I got to travel to Knoxville. So I'll be out tomorrow. So it's kind of like a Friday, but even though it feels like Friday, Beav, happy Thursday. Hope you're having a good day.
You too, Matt Wyatt. So far, so good over here.
Okay. So I got accused of only wanting to talk about food and other stuff because state is bad. You were the recipient of that message, right?
Yeah, it was during Jake's show.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of different approaches when something like that happens, Beaver. Okay, I could get, of course, it's one message. It's not like it's a drove of that, but sometimes one can represent others. So, one route we could take, Beaver, is to hear that complaint and then just only preview football and do stats and all those kinds of things and just do that wall to wall and react to it that way. Okay, that's one approach. Another approach could be to what? Just totally bristle up and say, okay, because of that, I'm never going to do football again. It's all food going forward. Now, those two seem like extremes. Which one do you lean towards, Beav?
You double down. Don't speak a word of sports. Not a word.
You bristle. No. You bristle.
Yeah. Hey, okay. I want to say two things regarding this.
Okay.
So that text came in yesterday during Jake's show, and yeah, it said, I enjoy your show. The other two shows, since Mississippi State's terrible, they only want to talk food. Now, to your point, you were like, I'm not sure it'd be different if State was good. Allow me in my brain space to journey back to 2022. That's actually when I took over doing your show,
okay,
August of that year. Yeah. So I was with you throughout that football season. Mm-hmm. That was Mike Leach's final season. Rest in peace. Mississippi State was good.
Yeah, they had won 8 games or 9 games or something like that.
Yeah, that bowl game put them at 9. That's a good season. Mississippi State was good. You know what you did that season?
What?
You talked a lot about food.
I did, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, also, too, including this point, that person who texted that yesterday afternoon on Jake's show, 24 hours before, remember when you were here?
Yeah.
And White Denzel sent that picture of the college, or it was the playoff bracket for Candy.
Oh, yes. Oh, that was awesome.
Okay. Well, we didn't actually finish that bracket during that show, so it came up again during Jake's show. And people, a lot of text regarding their favorite candy.
Okay.
So 24 hours later, you text and be like, everyone else is just talking food. They're so dumb. But 24 hours before, we spent like an hour and a half on that candy bracket. And people talking about what candies they would put in there.
Mm-hmm.
So bottom line is suck it.
There you go. And I'm on the verge of asking you who it was. To this point, I've not asked you who the message came from. And I'm not asking publicly right now. I'm bordering on asking. I may ask you later, Beaver, who that is. I just might want to know who it is. And we may not know. We may not have a name. I don't know. Sometimes, some of our texters, that even regulars, we don't actually have a name for them. So, okay. I think it's fair to say, to some small degree with me, I would accept that, if State was great and they were undefeated and all that, maybe there's more, football content in the show just because that's my team. Okay. I think that's fair to say, but to what degree though is what I'm talking about, because you're right, Beav. I mean, for years now, I have had an absolute ball, a blast, sort of collectively with our group of people who we all get together. Some would call them, they are the listeners or they are the audience, but it's really different than that. It's just our group, okay? You mentioned Denzel and so many others, Jason in Flagstaff, and on the live stream, Sven and Will and Gene and Hail State fan and all, we just kind of, and I know I'm leaving people out. I don't intend to. It's like we just kind of have a group. Rooster calls all the time, More Bully calls us. We just kind of have our group. And collectively, we've all just kind of like hung out and, we've taken each other down lots of different paths for this 2-hour block of time on a quote unquote sports show. But it's been going on for years, and I have absolutely had a ball doing it because, I love watching the games as much as anybody. I really do. And maybe it's a little different for me. I don't gamble. There are some people who they love watching the games because it's going to tell them if they win 500 or lose 1,000, whatever floats your boat. For me, I love watching the games as much as anybody, and sort of the analysis and trying to figure that out. But I really have enjoyed all the other conversation too. So to whomever that is, what I would say is, there may only be frankly, just a little teeny tiny hint of truth and at most in what you're saying about this show. Beaver referenced 2022. We're having a good time with it then. Even going that far back, we had a lot of fishing talk and doing a lot of interviews, did more outdoor interviews and food and so, even if it's one person, even if it's one individual who every minute of every time slot in every show on this station, they want Ole Miss versus Georgia. They want, Alabama versus LSU. Every minute of every time slot on this. That's what they want. Even if it's one person, you hate to disappoint them. Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is you'll just have to be disappointed in me because I ain't going to do it. We'll preview it, and I'm not going to come in with slotted out, jot for jot, minute for minute, segment for segment. This is the plan. This is what I will propose. This is the game we'll cover here. This is the game we'll cover here. And we do that 5 days a week. I am not going to do it. We will come in here together. We'll see where it goes. And wherever it goes is where it'll go. And I'm really cool with all of it. All sports, fine with that. None, totally fine with it. I refuse to approach it like it's totally my responsibility to steer all of us and all y'all in one direction or another. Y'all can steer me just as much as you want to. And we do that sometimes. It's fun that way, and that's just the way we're going to continue to do it. But I will say, Beaver, I get the idea of somebody tells you, oh, you're not doing sports because your team stinks and I don't like it. And so you feel like you're almost rebelling against that by then not doing any sports. Well, what I'm doing is I'm rebelling against it by just doing what I would do anyway, whether or not I'd ever heard that in the first place, which is we got games to talk about and I'm interested in them. And I won't get to be here tomorrow because I'll be on the road. So we'll do some of that. We'll do the same show we'd do anyway. I'm going to rebel against what I think is a little silly comment by just ignoring it and doing what I would do anyway. That's my way of approaching it. All right. Okay, good. Covered? Covered. Gene on Facebook says, don't change anything. All right. Noted. And noted and taken to heart. Hunter asked me earlier, did you discuss Greg Sankey and his comments about the faking injuries, the new update to the existing rule? Well, here's what, yes, we did talk about it, but my take on it was this, Hunter. You know, on the one hand, I am glad that as the leader of the SEC, you know, he wants to do something, and his way of getting at it was to try to punish the coaches. Okay. But on the whole, how in the world are they going to enforce any of that? Really? I mean, is it going to be a judgment call by who? Right? Like, how are you going to for sure know it was a fake injury, and for sure then a $50,000 fine, or a second offense is, 6 digits for the coach, defining the coach. But see, like, how are you going to define and justify and then actually implement that? That's the thing with me. And the only way to implement stuff is what I have suggested, which is injured players have to sit out a certain amount of time. And even if they are healthy to come back in, they have to wait a certain amount of time before they check back in. Well, that's the only way to actually do it. And we're still not there. And you can't put that in the middle of the season. So the memo was the next best thing. But in terms of actually implementing it, enforcing it, I just don't know how you're going to pull that off. So I thought it was as much a show, putting on a show to get everybody to just shut up about it, as it was anything. That's the way I felt about it. Because I think anybody really smart, with Sankey is really smart, knows you really can't enforce that. It's very hard to implement it. Does that help? That was kind of my take on it. And sometimes if you're the leader of this giant organization, maybe you have to do a few things every now and then that kind of are for show. You have to march out there in your pretty uniform and say, stick in the ground here now, this is what we're going to do. Sometimes you maybe have to do that. But when I look at it in terms of reality, like, how are you going to for sure determine it was fake and then go forward with some financial fine? I would bet that we don't even ever hear about that ever again. I would bet we get to the end of the year and we don't hear of one single solitary fine of a head coach. That's what I would say. Will, he's on YouTube, and then I'm coming to the text messages next. Promise y'all, coming to him next. Will commented and said, people complaining about Matt's food talk clearly haven't been tuning into the live stream and seeing the old commercials. We got old Heinz ads, cereal ads, hamburger helper, Coca-Cola, milk. There's a little bit of everything in there. It really is true. Somebody text in, and yes, this is one of the stories out there today in college football. Billy Napier retained at Florida for the time being. Your thoughts? Yeah. Interesting way to approach it. But you know what it says to me? Scott Strickland, the people at Florida, they realize they've gotten themselves in a position where they don't have a choice to make on this thing. Florida's competitive. They have gotten better in certain areas throughout the year. They're dealing with some injury stuff. They have pretty much all of their pay-for-play money invested in their younger classes, freshman and sophomore, and they realize they're not in a position of making a choice about whether to keep a coach or firing it. And this announcement that they're not going to make a change, or that they're sticking by him, is for program building and talent acquirement purposes. That's what that's for. That's why I put it out there. Because I think they've known the whole way. With recent history, the atmosphere the way it is, as recently as they've had other coaching changes, they're just in no position to make a change right now. It don't make any sense whatsoever. And so I think that's why they put it out there, is to put the word out, and people can stop speculating on that too. That's what I think. Somebody else texts the show and says, I know the morning show is the food and alcohol show. Well, maybe we got that going for us. At least we're just food. We're just food here. Paul on the country pleasing text line. Speaking of food, the only two games of interest this weekend to me are Georgia at Ole Miss and Bama at LSU. And let's talk about that. As an MSU fan, I just don't want to watch them. It's too painful. Well, I don't. To each his own. It's not painful to me, but I just don't really get to watch them. I'm working. And we've talked a lot about Ole Miss, Georgia. Not as much about Alabama, LSU. I kind of feel like it's advantage LSU. It's in Baton Rouge, right? So I kind of feel like it's advantage LSU. I'm not nearly as interested in that one as I am Georgia, Ole Miss. But I look at it. It's hard for me to see Georgia's path to winning the game. You start breaking down the two teams and who they are and how the personnel matches up against each other. It's in Oxford, and I feel like the matchups, every matchup you look at, it seems like it benefits Ole Miss to me. Especially when you talk about Georgia having a quarterback who is not good and hasn't been good under pressure. And Ole Miss being the best pressure defensive front in the conference, therefore one of the best in the country. I think it spells disaster for Georgia. I really do. And maybe the only wild card would be just how bad is the weather going to be. I know they're predicting rain, like a wet day throughout the day. And so sometimes that can really change things, make things a whole lot less predictable. But yeah, I would say on paper, everything looks like advantage Ole Miss to me in that game. Could be wrong, though. Georgia has proved me wrong before. All right, just getting started with you. Your comments, your texts, otherwise, when we come back. In the Bureau. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online, murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Do you crave your sports?
It's often difficult to satisfy that special hunger.
Not here, because you've got Man Wyatt.
Oh, I am starving.
Don't worry, he's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone 105.9.com.
Here we go. Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. Hunter says on YouTube, who thinks Ole Miss is going to be able to block Georgia Saturday night? Not I. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to tell you, they found something against Arkansas. Arkansas may not be as good a defense, and they're not as good a defense as Georgia overall in terms of athlete for athlete, speed, and all that kind of stuff. But Ole Miss, whatever they found offensively and figured out and executed in that in that Arkansas game after having a week off, sure did look good, and it sure did produce. And now they're back at home. Confidence is so huge as well. But Georgia's key, there defensively is pressure, right? It's winning the line of scrimmage, which is maybe a favorable matchup for them, causing problems for Dart, which there will be times in the game that I'm sure Georgia will be able to do that. But on the other side, I still think it's more of a problem for Georgia's offensive front and their quarterback having to deal with Ole Miss's front, and it's at Ole Miss. So I just, I think it's an advantage even comparing those things flip-flop of each other. I think it's probably an advantage Ole Miss, and then it's just a matter of do you throw and catch and make a play or two, to get up in the game. I think that's what it comes down to. More on that one. Right now, over to the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Andre on line one. Thanks for calling, Andre. How are you?
I'm doing great today. I'm doing great.
Great. What's up?
Hey, Matt, we finna stir it up. We finna have a fun day today talking sports.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let's start it off right. Just like the election went, we all know who was going to win the election. It's just like the Ole Miss Georgia game. James Franklin, Lane Kiffin, they a top 15 program. That's what they tell you. But they failed to beat anybody in the top 15. So what do you expect going to happen Saturday?
Well,
Georgia 37, Ole Miss maybe 14.
Oh, my goodness. 37,
let's
14.
get real. Let's get real. Ole Miss receivers, most of them hurt. So who Jackson Dart going to throw to?
Well, who'd he throw to?
Anybody brought that up?
Well, but he threw, 5 touchdowns to the same guy last week. I mean, they do have some depth.
Man, you got to understand. They not playing the Kolean Wolves this week. They playing the team.
Okay.
They playing the team that only problem is just beating Alabama.
Yeah.
They like 51-0 against everybody else. So what do you expect going to happen? I got to go with Georgia on that.
Okay. Well, and you're not just going with Georgia. You're going with Georgia kind of in a blowout, 37-14. That's a blowout.
Yes, sir. I mean, until Lane Kiffin and James Franklin beat somebody, I'm not going to believe in those guys.
Okay.
I think about it. They never beat anybody worth talking about.
Well,
they just beat up on on the teams that they better than. I give them credit for that. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
But they don't beat nobody worth talking about. So I'm going to watch the Colorado-Texas Tech game, but I think they come on the same time. I'm not going to even watch Georgia and Ole Miss because I know what's going to happen. You do too.
Well, see, here's my problem, Andre, is, I'm impressed with what Ole Miss's offense was able to do at Arkansas last week. And their defense has been consistently good in the SEC. It's just their offense, it was the one that mysteriously was having trouble scoring points against good teams. And then they go into Arkansas last week and just explode. And they're at home this week. And so I feel like I know, Andre, that Ole Miss's defensive front is good enough that they're going to cause problems for Georgia scoring points. And Georgia has a quarterback who has not been good when he gets hit and when he gets pressured. And that tightens it, and the fact that it's at Ole Miss and that they are so desperate. I feel like Ole Miss knows they're sitting there with 2 losses right now. Georgia can lose this game, and it doesn't really change a whole lot for them. I don't know that it does in terms of getting in the playoffs, but if Ole Miss loses, that's it. So those are the factors that I felt like, maybe favored Ole Miss. But what you are saying is true, that we haven't seen them do it yet. If Ole Miss beats a team like this, like Georgia, in this kind of situation, you're right, it'll be the first time we've seen it. That is true.
Well, I tell you what, it just like NFL, until somebody beat Patrick Mahomes, it's really no need of talking about anybody else because why are we doing it?
Yeah, I got you.
I don't care. I don't care if the Ravens doing what they doing. I don't care if Lamar win another MVP. If I was him, I wouldn't even accept the trophy. I just send it down there to Kansas City.
Mail it to him. That's good.
I just mail it to him. I mean, he got 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So that's going to make him the 3-time most valuable player in the league.
Yeah.
But until he get to the Super Bowl, who cares?
Hey, who do you have, Colorado or Texas Tech in that game?
I got to go with Colorado, man.
Okay, all right.
I see Shedeur Sanders going to the Saints, and I see Travis Hunter. I hate to say it. He got the Dallas Cowboys written all over him.
You think so?
Drummer? Yes, sir. He fits in with the Cowboys. Drummer, flash, always on TV. That feels like Travis Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of – you think – so you think he goes number 1?
No.
No.
Quarterback's going to always go number 1.
Okay.
I think the guy from Miami –
yeah.
or Shedeur Sanders, one of those two is going to go number 1.
Okay.
You're not going to take a guy like that number 1. It never happens.
Andre, if Travis Hunter winds up at the Cowboys, you and I and everybody else, we just think we've seen a lot of the Dallas Cowboys. If Travis Hunter a player like that goes to Dallas, the media following and like paparazzi chasing them around is going to reach all-time levels if he goes there. I almost would like to see it for that reason.
Think about it. Dak not coming back for about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
By that time, the season is going to be over. If I was the Cowboys, I would start Trey Lance tomorrow just to see what he's about. We don't know.
Yeah, don't know.
Nobody knows what Trey Lance is.
Hey, well, I'll tell you this.
I
know he can run. I know he's a great athlete, and nobody in that Cowboys offense is going to play action and drop back, just sit in the pocket and have a whole lot of success. They might as well have a guy who can sprint around and do some stuff with his legs, because with their personnel and with that scheme, they're not going to have any success.
No, sir. But I will say this. The trade to get Brandon Jonathan Mingo, it's going to pay off 2 years from now. It's not going to pay off this year. 2 years from now, because he's going to start on side of CD Lamb. That's going to help Dak 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So that's a great pick by them.
I can see
Do you know, Matt? Do you know the NFL trade deadline was full of all the Mississippi players? Preston Smith.
Yep.
Cam Akers.
Yeah. Hey, where did Akers?
Was all over the
where did Akers get traded to?
I
I'm going to look it up.
Remember.
See, I saw where Preston Smith got traded to the Steelers, and I thought, man, that's great on both sides right there. You know, it's great for the Steelers.
That's a great deal.
Yeah. I didn't see where
I can't remember where he went, but I know most of Mississippi players was on top of that trade deadline.
Was it Minnesota?
So.
Yeah, I think it's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in Minnesota. Akers is in Minnesota now with the Vikings. So he's on a good football team.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's a deal that nobody's talking about, but he can help that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. Okay, go ahead.
Before I get out of here, we got the college football playoff. You got Notre Dame in there right now. I don't see them making it. I think USC is going to upset them.
Okay.
That's the end of the season. They playing in California. I think that's the game they lose to get out.
Okay.
So I'm looking for another SEC school to get in. I don't know who yet. Who really? I think the winner of the Alabama LSU game is going to sneak into the playoff. Yeah, I think that's going because I don't see Notre Dame. I don't see Indiana. If they lose one, I think it's over with for them. So I can see it. Maybe one of those teams.
Okay.
I'm not even ruling out Clemson yet. Because I think they got to play Miami, so I'm not even ruling out them, even though they have 2 losses. I'm not ruling out them yet.
Alabama and LSU both 6-2, but both of Alabama's losses are SEC ones. LSU 3-1 in the league right now. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And before I leave, don't buy any stock in Texas A&M. They gonna show you why you always Texas A&M. Don't buy any stock. Pass on it.
Hey, well, okay. You sound like Rooster now. He always calls and gives us the lock of the week. So that your lock is stay away from A&M. Got it. Noted.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Andre. Great to hear from you as always. Great call.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Call me anytime. Strong. Maybe winner Alabama LSU gets in the playoff. Georgia in a walk, he says. And he's got Colorado over Texas Tech, 2 6-win teams. It's in Lubbock on Saturday. Your text when we come back on the Country Pleasing text line. Back after this.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other.
Right at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. Let's hit it up here on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. 885-3776. That's the number to text. Patrick texted and said, when are people going to realize that Matt Wyatt likes his Little Debbie cakes, chili soup, Country Pleasin', and coffee? It's true. When are they going to realize that, right? He said, I know a lot of people who enjoy your show. With that being said, where are you going to eat in Knoxville? I don't know. It's a really, it sounds really hypocritical of me, Patrick, to be somebody that we talk about food on the show a lot. But then for me to say, like, I'm not a foodie where I'm searching out places to go and sit down and eat. That's not the kind of food I'll go on a road trip and just eat beef jerky until I get back home. Like, crazy stuff like that. I like when I'm out and on the road and traveling, I like to go and see, and I do a lot of photography, which, I make part of my living with some photography skills and work, but a lot of what I do when I'm traveling is the hobby type. And I like to do all of that, and I don't like to spend, I feel sometimes if I sit down in a restaurant, it could be an hour, hour and a half, and then I feel like I wasted it. I could have been seeing something. It's terrible, isn't it? Need to slow down, pick out a good place to eat, go have some good food. Because I learned on that New Orleans trip, some of it is as advertised. That particular deal, I used to think, whatever, food's food. Now, some of it's better than the rest. Hey, Beaver, Annabeth sent me a text. Speaking of, he brings up Little Debbie. Beaver, listen to this. There's a place in Tupelo called May's To Go Cup. They were a mobile coffee business. Now they've opened up an in-store business. They do Christmas tree cake, lattes, and coffee. And when you buy that, you get a Little Debbie Christmas tree cake with your cup of goodness. How you feel about that?
That is a really good deal. The coffee, Christmas tree cake coffee. See, I don't drink coffee. You know this.
Yeah, right.
But I bet it's really good. Now, giving you a free Christmas tree cake with it, while that's a good idea and that's good value, and I like that, that's a nice little combo, but so you just want to quadruple the sugar. You just want to send your customers down that spiral.
I did think about that. I just sent you the picture of it, by the way. You see it right there. See what we're talking about. Of course, I mean, all it is a cup of coffee with a Little Debbie Christmas tree cake on top of it. But I'm going to have to do that because I'm curious what, maybe not so much the latte, but the coffee, the Christmas tree cake latte. I'm kind of curious what that's going to taste like. So I may run out there this afternoon and try that. Patches text the show, Country Pleasing text line. He says, so let's diversify the conversation. Do they make Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes in chocolate? All I found is the vanilla. I don't think there is a chocolate one, right?
Hold your tongue.
Is it?
Yeah, there is.
Really?
Yeah.
And it looks like a Christmas tree?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just chocolate icing and chocolate cake instead of white icing and, yellow cake or vanilla cake or whatever.
Okay. There you go, Patches. This proves that if they have a food question, Beaver, they ought to just ask you. Not me.
But the interesting thing is, remember when I sent you the picture of that massive CTC? Nope, that's Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We can't have an abbreviation for the Christmas tree cakes. Anyway, when I sent you that massive display on October, midway through October, which is too early,
right?
There were 0 chocolate ones. They were all vanilla, but they do exist.
Okay. Which, going back to that, does lend more credence to the theory that maybe those were left over from last year. We're going to unload these before we get this year's stock in. Hence, October. J-Rock texted the show, and he said, if you stop talking about food, I'm going to change the station. Beer Slayer texted and said, it's the Matt Wyatt show. Do what you want. Yeah. Well, and thanks, Beer Slayer. And I will say that's kind of how we do it anyway. Good, bad, indifferent, better or worse. It's certainly not, let's just look at it this way. Let me just frame it this way. And I mean this sincerely with a pure heart here. Clear eyes, pure heart, can't lose. Ready? Here we go. It's impossible to do a show that everybody likes. It's impossible. So why would you effort that? Okay? And therefore, the genuine way to go about it is just do the show you want to do. And then there'll be some that don't like it, and that's to be expected. And that's okay. It doesn't make them weird. It just makes them different than you. And then there'll be some that like it, hopefully. And to this point, 6 years later, some people like it. Jason out in Arizona says, I can't speak for everyone else, but the biggest draw of this show is the non-sports talk. Well, Jason, I will take that as a compliment. He said, sports talk gets boring really quick, and it's why so many others devolve into rage, Beatty hot take garbage. He said it's boring after a day or two of game reviews and previews. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you. And I know right what you mean. Well, and you take today, for instance. I mean, we're just a little over a half hour into it, and there's actually been a good, healthy amount of discussing sports. Thanks to Andre's call. That was awesome. He's got take on the Ole Miss Georgia game that's different than mine. Big game that we've talked about and previewed a little bit more than others. We haven't actually touched a whole lot on Mississippi State and Tennessee this week just because I feel like it's a huge mismatch. It's a huge advantage, Tennessee, pretty much in every area. And their offense, while they maybe scored less points against a few teams and had that one inexplicable loss to Arkansas, their offense still is good. Their quarterback is good, and they're going to score points on Saturday. You can bet the farm on that. All right, over to the phone line, the Divinity Equipment phone line. More bully on line 1, the MOORE. What's up?
Matt, if I wasn't driving, I'd probably passed out as quick as you got me.
Really? It was pretty quick. It was, yeah.
It was quick. It was not in the 13-minute mark, that's for sure. Tell you that much.
Well, good.
Hey, I'll have a statement and then I have a question for you.
Okay.
First of all, I know y'all have solved the mystery that there are chocolate Christmas tree cakes,
Okay.
right?
Yes, Beaver solved that. He knew.
Okay. So I could have told you for a fact way before that there were, because I used to be involved in a foster care Christmas party, and every year we had to scour Jackson for Christmas tree cakes because we had to get about 500 of them. And then they came out with the chocolate, so that helped us in our quest.
There you go. Okay.
So yeah, there are definitely chocolate Christmas tree cakes, and I don't understand the phenomenon around them. All it is a dadgum zebra cake.
That's a zebra cake
with
sprinkles. It's a zebra cake with sprinkles.
Yep.
That's what it is. But excellent marketing. Seasonal. That's what they are. So was that it? You got anything else? He's gone. All right. Thanks, more bully. It is excellent marketing. I mean, you have to admit that. Bulldog Blitz texts the show, and Andre's prediction of 37-14 Georgia over Ole Miss. Blitz goes, has he watched the Ole Miss defense? That's what I'm saying. Again, in SEC play, and you do have to consider who Ole Miss has played, but they're giving up, what is it, 16, 18 points a game? And now they're just going to give up 37 to Georgia? I don't think so. I don't think Georgia scores 37. I know they scored over 50 points against them last year. In fact, Sven brought that up on YouTube, and he said, Matt, quick reminder, last year Lane talked smack in the Georgia week, but it ended up 52-17 Georgia. And they dropped 3 extra touchdowns in the end zone, or yard or short of the end zone. And so he's saying it could have been worse. Yeah, I agree with you. Real Unnamed, here it is Thursday's last show of the week for me, and we need a Rooster lock. So y'all tell Rooster if you bump into him that people on the radio are asking for his lock this week. He's having a good year with predictions. Airborne Dog on the Country Pleasing text line says, pretty sure Andre was talking about State. I think he missed the mark. He said, I'm a State fan, but missed the days when we won the games we should and still had 1 or 2 games we beat teams that we shouldn't. Seems a distant memory as of late. Yeah, Airborne, I mean, you're at the bottom trying to claw your way back up. That's where State is right now. It's total do-over. Reset. And that's just where it is. And they're actually doing some really good things. Offensively, they're doing some good things. Defensively, the one good thing they've done is they have pretty consistently been opportunistic. They will create a turnover here or there and bat the ball around at some point, make a play, cause a fumble. And they have to be conscious of those opportunities to try to knock it out of there because they're not stopping people. I expect Tennessee to score a lot of points. But State has the capability, and they're getting Craver back, who can take the top of the defense off. I expect them to move the ball and have a chance to score some points. All right, hour 1 in the books, and as you know, I hadn't even gotten close to all your texts, and we'll catch up when we come back and start hour 2 in the Bureau. Stick around.
Now's the time.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Their new 40-foot boom truck, dog-eared fence boards at $1.79 each. Also ask about their legacy cabinets and their Trex decking specials. If you're rebuilding your home or business, or building a new home or business, or just making some changes, you can count on Bailey Lumber, located at
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was, their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their
1059 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
at thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2 of the show, off and running with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Get on in here. Hey to you on the live stream. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, or X, formerly Twitter, drop a comment right there. It pops up on the screen. We're talking about glad to get Craver back this week if you're state. Hunter mentioned it. He says glad to hear that Craver's going to be back. He's, get him back, and he's able to do what he can do. It changes how defenses have to play. He's just that fast and can take the top off your defense. Gives you those opportunities, and you've hit some of them against some good teams. And could be doubly important. Sven brings it up. Coleman a little bit banged up last week. He kept going back in there making plays, and then each time he'd have to, limp off and walk it off and then go back in. And, I don't know what it is or what's nagging him. It's just indicative of one of those types of injuries where something's really sore. Like structurally it's okay, but maybe it's still swollen up, tender, it's real sore. Like, you're getting over a sprained ankle. And then every time somebody kicks it, you want to just fall down. It's that bad. And so you kind of have to keep walking it off. And that's what it looked like to me. But that's not your official injury report on that. But we can get into that one and many others, and we'll take a look at games. My last show of the week, I got to travel. Got to get to Knoxville for State and Tennessee night game at Neyland Stadium up on the hill on the banks of the Tennessee River. The Vol Navy, and be in there with the lights on at night. You have to have running lights if you're going to drive your boat at night legally, right? Legally being the key word. Yeah, we had a heck of a call from Andre earlier in hour 1, and Mr. King liked it. He texted the show and said, a whole segment's talking sports. Thanks, Andre. He gave us the
He's a mess.
Sorry, that's the wrong one. He gave us the clapping emoji. So, Andre, you get a round of applause. Rebel Rex, thanks for texting. He says, good day, Matt. Hope today's filled with blessings for you and your family. Well, back at you. I appreciate that. He said, I know your Chiefs are looking good. Just wanted to point out the Rams are on a 3-game winning streak. They are 4-4, tied for first in their division. All their players are finally back. They've been hurt. Just have a young defense. We played Dolphins Monday night. And he said, I just wanted to give them some love. They're looking good right now and could make some noise in the NFC. Your thoughts? Well, my thoughts on that, yeah, it's hard to know, that West looks like a weak division. But I also think there is an element of it would not be the first time that a team with a veteran quarterback and a Super Bowl already under their belt turned it on when things got really serious, right? It wouldn't be the first time. And from a coach and an administrative standpoint, they know what they're doing out there. So, yeah, maybe so. And the great thing about the NFL, man, that's it. You get in the playoffs, it's up for grabs. It's anybody's game. It makes it really interesting. He said, by the way, as a former soccer player, props to the Mississippi State women's soccer team. They are rocking out. So, what, there are 4 teams left? 4 teams left in the SEC tournament? And wait a minute, am I looking at this right? It's all 4 of the top 4 seeds, 1, 2, 3, and 4. State, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Texas. Yeah, they're people that know soccer, they are having a great time watching them. Winning's just fun, right? However you do it. In anything. Winning is just fun. Hunter texted the show. He said, hey, Matt, I was unable to watch the other shows this week, and I don't know if you mentioned in previous comment about call it and run it plays on offense. Do you know if we accomplished any this past Saturday? Well, okay, so if by call it and run it plays, what you mean is you don't have a bunch of reads built into it. It's not RPO per se or like a zone read. It's just, here's the play, run that. Well, yeah, I think there's some of those in there. State actually has fewer of those built into their offense than a lot of other teams. That just, here's the call, run that play. Don't be checking and don't be reading anything. It's like we're going to run counter to the left, So, why would they be calling me? Not sure what that's about. Bo texted the show. Said, do not buy those chocolate Christmas trees. He says you'll likely be disappointed. Not even in the same realm as the original. Why? Just because they're chocolate? Is that why? Let's see. Beer Slayer texts the show. He says the chocolate Christmas tree cake is not being made this year. Not being discontinued. They just wanted to make more of the original. This info coming from the Little Debbie man at Kroger. Okay, wait just a second. Does that mean that, wait a minute. I had heard, remember back around Halloween when they said chocolate was ridiculously expensive because of all the inflation stuff and the economy, and the situation was in, like chocolate was expensive. And people were getting less chocolate candy at Halloween and stuff. Would that be the reason?
Here's what I believe.
Tell me what you believe.
So after he sent that text, I went into the lab and did the research, and that means Google. And he is punctilious. This year, they're not making them. They're not making them, and my thinking is they specifically stopped making them to push those stupid little muffins that they've put out. Remember when Roshana sent us that picture a couple weeks ago, and she said, okay, Little Debbie, we get it. That's one of their new Christmas items. I think they want to push the muffins on us. And therefore, they said, you know what? Let's just take one of these Christmas tree cakes away.
Yeah. I gotcha. That makes more sense.
Which, by the way, who was it that texted? Oh, Bo. Yeah, he's right. The chocolate there, nowhere near as good as the original.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I remembered that these were a thing. I just did not remember. I don't know that I've ever eaten one. Heard of them. Just don't know if I've ever eaten one. Beeve, do we have a controversy right here with More Bully, though? Because he says he was not done with his call, but he says that you cut him off on purpose.
I did not. But now that he's made that accusation, I'm going to play God with the phones, and I'm not answering again, just in case it's him. Because he followed it up by saying, I'm going to get the last laugh. What does that mean? You're going to call back?
What does that mean, actually? He says, I'm going to get the last laugh. Sorry, More Bully.
Are you that desperate to talk to Matt Wyatt?
Well, I thought I remembered him saying, hey, I've got a comment, and then I have a question. And we went on with the comment there, and then all of a sudden it just went silent. And I thought, well, maybe he was done then. No.
Yeah, see, the phone's ringing right now.
That's him.
I'm guessing that's More Bully. So LESS calls is what you're going to get in today, More Bully.
Bodine Dog on the Country Pleasing text line says, Matt, there are 4 Mississippi junior college teams in the top 15. East Central, the Warriors have moved up to number 8. They are 7-2. Thanks, Bodine. Yeah, another update. Not surprised. I happen to believe the best junior college football in the country gets played in Mississippi every year. And numbers and teams and wins and athletes usually bears that out. Grumpy Good to hear from you on a Thursday. He says, Matt, did you think of the name of the restaurant in Vicksburg? You know what? Somebody texted it in yesterday. It starts with an M. I'm going to make sure I've got the right name in my head here. Yep, it's Milano's. That's the name of it. Right at the end of the show, Grumpy, I couldn't remember, and somebody texted in and said Milano's, and that's it. Okay, it's downtown Washington Street, and it's really good. The and the margarita pizza that I've had in there is real good. My humble opinion. Grumpy, and he texted and said that he enjoys Rusty's. Well, hey, you and everybody else, you know, talking about taking the time to sit down at a place and eat. I don't care what's going on. I will take the time to sit down and eat at Rusty's if I have the opportunity in Vicksburg. Annabeth loves it. They have a... Hey, Annabeth, are the grits there gluten-free? She can't hear me. I'll let you know when she comes back by. Real good. Also, Grumpy says Andre's way off about Ole Miss. Andre said that in hour one, his prediction was that Georgia will beat Ole Miss 37-14. Andre said he compared Lane Kiffin to James Franklin and talked about, you know, they're going to have to beat a real team for him in order to, you got to see it first for him to be able to believe it, is basically what he's saying there. All right, let's go over to the phone line, the Deviney Equipment phone line. Deviney Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. First up, everybody wants to know what his lock is. Rooster on line one. What's up, Rooster?
Yeah, never have so many been so wrong, except Rooster. Rooster is 19 out of 20. And you know what the one loss was? It was a Matt White recommendation. That's the only one I've lost.
Which one was it?
What do you think? It was Georgia.
Georgia versus who?
Texas. You picked Texas to beat Georgia.
I sure did. I
So
talked
said,
you into the bad.
Okay. I don't want to pick. I don't want to go against the Mannings. Are you kidding me? I used to play catch with Archie Manning. I don't want to go against them. So, true story. You played catch with Archie Manning? Yes, I did. But anyway, we got to give the Rooster lock. I thought I heard somebody say Rooster. And again, I gave a lock this week earlier, but it wasn't really a lock. It was the Donald Trump prediction, you know, so I got that. But the lock today, I couldn't get until I saw the good old Clan Ledger point spread. This is the first time they've run it. And there's a mistake every time. This one this week is Notre Dame. Can you believe that? They goofed on the Notre Dame. They've got Notre Dame a 26-point favorite against the illustrious Seminoles.
Okay.
Not going to happen. Nope.
As bad as Florida, wait a minute, as bad as Florida State has been, you still don't think that happens?
No, 26 points. That's what's off.
Okay.
Florida State won't win the game. They won't go to South Bend and win the football game. No way.
Okay.
But they're not going to lose by 26 points. Take Florida State and the spread.
Okay.
And if you can, do a two-team teaser. And on the other one, take, gosh, they've got the poor old Michigan Wolverines. They've got them a 14-point underdog to Indiana. I would say take Michigan and Florida State. These two dogs.
Okay.
Again, the sports writer had them picked in the top 10 in the country. Both of them before the season started.
Yeah.
They didn't do their homework. They didn't read. They didn't study. You got to do a little homework. You just can't go on last year's record. The defending national champion has already lost 4 games. Florida State has lost 7. Are you kidding me?
I know.
And both those teams were picked in the top 10.
That Michigan game is at Indiana, 2:30 CBS. Indiana ranked in the top 10. They're 9-0. As you said, Michigan 5-4 at Indiana. Indiana 2-touchdown favorite at home.
Yeah, but see, if you take two-team teams, you got a 6-point bump. So that means Indiana has to win by 19 or 20.
Okay.
And you got all kind of points with Notre Dame. That's the bet I would take. It's a two-team teaser. I would take the underdogs and a 15-piece for the lock. And again, I'm only 19 out of 20. I've only lost once. That was leaning on my friend Matt.
Well, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm just going to be honest with you, Rooster. You know, and I don't do the gambling thing, but listening to you talk about Florida State and Michigan, I would have never had those thoughts about those games. And so if you wind up right about these, I'm going to have to start paying attention to you and your picks.
Well, it's the law of averages. The law of averages and home field, and not that much. Now,
okay.
I don't know a lot about it. Ole Miss, the Notre Dame quarterback is okay, I guess, and I can't pronounce this kid's name. It's some kind of crazy name, but apparently he's better than what people think. But I just get 26 points seems a lot of points to give against anybody.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of points. 26 points.
Yeah.
And Florida State's due for a good game. Bless their hearts. Holy cow. I hope they don't fire that coach. They probably will. It's probably history now. But anyway, I'm happy because the main one I hit, that was Donald Trump. Although it wasn't the landslide I thought, he did get 300 votes. I guess that's sort of a mandate, you know?
Yep, I guess so. I guess that's right.
You guys have a great. You're not going to be on the show tomorrow, right? You on the road?
Yeah, I gotta travel, and I'm choosing to drive because I love driving and seeing stuff, and that's going to be a fun one. I'll go through North Alabama where I grew up, go through Huntsville, and then Chattanooga, and get to see all that stuff, and then go on to Knoxville from there.
The place to be Saturday night is Baton Rouge. It's going to rain.
Yeah,
it sure is. What a game is that going to be? Yeah. The loser of that game is history. I guarantee you. That'll be the third loss, so that's history.
Yeah. And so if it's Alabama, if it's Alabama who loses and gets their third loss overall, that'll be their third SEC loss also, which I don't know when's the last time.
I'll give you two locks. I'll give you Alabama. That's another lock.
Okay. All right. Alabama's the other one. Got it. Thanks, Rooster.
You got a bonus this week. Let me quit.
Appreciate the call. I think we got to go. Y'all can call me. Be like Rooster. Get to hear your voice on the Divinity Equipment phone line. The number is 897-1059. On line 2, Big Wayne hanging on. What's up, Wayne? How are you?
Man, I'm doing good.
Attaboy.
But I done went brain dead. What's the name of that barbecue restaurant right there at Tennessee Stadium, right there on the river?
Oh, man.
Calhoun.
Calhoun, okay. I wouldn't know. You've been there?
You need to try that.
Okay. I might be there early enough Friday to get in there and get some to go. Might get
that one over at Vicksburg. Go ahead.
No. It's my fault. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
And that one over at Vicksburg, Walnut Hills.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever ate there?
Yes, and I sat where. What is it? They have the thing in the middle that like the whole table moves around and slides around. But
right,
yes,
on part of it. But they got some of the best desserts over a year going to eat.
Like real deal homemade stuff. I agree.
What is the name of that coffee you drink, man?
It is High Point Roasters. 3 words.
Do you buy the beans or do they already come ground up?
I have always gotten the beans and ground it up myself, but this time, this last order, which I'm drinking right now, I went ahead and got some already ground because I got tired of the noise that coffee grinder makes at 4 a.m. and I'm afraid it's going to wake my wife up. So, yeah, but it's really good. And they're big 1-pound bags that you order from them, and so you don't run out as quick, which I like also.
But it's High Point Roasters.
Yeah, and High Point Roasters, and you can go online, highpointroasters.com. They're really fine people, some of the finest people you could ever meet, great folks. And they go and get coffee from all over the world, come back, they roast it there. You can order it, they ship it to you, and you'll like it if you like coffee, I promise.
I got a friend, she's big on that coffee.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it. If I remember that, I'm going to try to get her some.
There you go. Yeah, get her some and get them to ship it to her. You can do that. If you have any trouble with it or if you can't remember it, just call me back and I'll give it to you.
All right, man. All right. Will you be safe going up there to Tennessee?
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate you, man. Have a good weekend. Old Wayne. Calhoun's, is that what he said? Let me write that down. Calhoun's. See, and the only thing about going into a college town on a Friday night for a ball game is, you know, a lot of the popular places, you know, are going to be crowded. And to sit around, wait. Who wants to do that when you could do other stuff? All right. Patch is back with us on the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' sausage. Hey, and I'm eating right now some of that duck and pork sausage. I've had some of it the last 2 days. I love it. Quack. Quack. Patches says, great information today. Quality show. Thank you. I needed the pat on the back. We always do. Somebody says, isn't grits gluten-free by default because of being corn? Yeah, I think that's right. So if they're made out of corn, they're gluten-free by default. But, you know, sometimes they can be cooked in things and with things that aren't. But, yeah. I've gotten different things at Rusty's in Vicksburg before. I've never gotten anything that I didn't like. And I think it's an appetizer. Don't quote me on this. I think it's an appetizer that you can make into a meal, but they do the fried green tomatoes. Worth it. Worth it. The drive, the wait, whatever it is, it's worth it, man. Make your tongue slap your hat off. All right, rolling along in hour number 2 of the show with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com. Back with you, I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona says, can Ole Miss block Georgia's defensive line enough to score and keep their own defense fresh? LSU's defensive line destroyed them. So did Kentucky's. And both won those games late against a tired Ole Miss defense, if I remember correctly. Now, and it's true. Jason, you make an excellent point. Now, Andre predicted a blowout for Georgia. I've been seeing it differently. I think I may be a little predisposed to lean towards teams that have good defense. And I'm trying to be my own shrink here and figure out my own thinking. But see, I naturally looked at this and leaned toward Ole Miss, and I think maybe it's because, like, my own experience as a player years ago was we could do some things on offense, but pretty average offensively, pretty competitive. We do some special things late in games, but we won because of defense. Our defenses were just dominant. They would just completely dominate people and smother people, and so I had that experience coupled with I also have the experience of like watching State this year, doing State's games on the radio, who they don't have defense. And you see so clearly how it can go the other way and how you can be actually good on offense. And in so many cases, it just doesn't matter. And so I think maybe those things have factored in for me, trying to be introspective here of why I would give so much. I would lean so much towards the fact that, Ole Miss has got this defense that is legit one of the better ones in the country and has been, I guess, up until this point, the best scoring defense in the SEC so far this year against SEC competition, until they gave up a few points against Arkansas last week. But then their offense shot up to the top of the scoring offense charts against SEC competition because they scored so much last week. And that's the other thing, too, is thinking maybe they got some confidence, and they are at home. And I have, Jason, factored in that, if you're anybody involved in that Ole Miss team, even if it's first-year guys or second-year guys who were paid to come there, sort of the mercenary type, the thing is, this is why you're there. And they're sitting there with 2 losses and 3, and that's it. You lose this one, it's done in terms of playoff stuff. And that's what you've been paid. And that's why they went all in, was to make a run at this 12-team deal when it opened up. And so, I guess all of that. But I've learned, Jason, to listen to what you say when it comes to this evaluating this team stuff. And you're right about those two games. The major issue was Ole Miss's offensive line that turned into an issue for their defense because the defense had to keep running out there in those games. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I think probably, Jason, part of my problem is too, is that like for Ole Miss and really for the other teams, I view them all from a distance. You know, I'm not able to sit in front of the TV and watch all their plays like some people get to do because of the nature of what I do for a living. So a lot of it's trying to guess. Now on the food side, Jason said, I think they may have outkicked their coverage with the chocolate Christmas tree cakes. He says they're just not as good. And it showed at the stores around here, nobody had any originals left, but chocolates were everywhere because stores couldn't sell them. They didn't want them. They want the white ones. Rex is flipping Andre's prediction. Andre said 37-14 Georgia. Rex is going 38-17 Ole Miss. Thinks Ole Miss's defense will have 7 sacks. Georgia's quarterback is unproven, and we are at home. That's his lock of the week. Signed, Rebel Rex. We'll see if it happens. It may rain. I wonder how the weather is going to affect it. Like what weather they're actually going to get before, during the game. What does it do? I'll be curious about that. Let's say Real C texted the show and said, this rooster fella referring to himself in third person. He said, let more bully call, please. Beeve, did more bully call back or do we know?
Well, probably so, but I don't know. We got a couple calls after that.
Right. We had Rooster and then we had Wayne. And so the phone lines were kind of filling up. Right? That's great. That's great. Hey, Beeve, while I've got you, I got to go total non-segue here, just something I wanted to bounce off of you. You mentioned to me recently you're not watching The Office as much as you used to, the reruns.
Yeah.
Still the case? So I still am. Just watched a rerun of the episode where Andy was in the play, the Sweeney Todd play in the local community theater. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And the cold open to the show was he and his fellow castmates surprised the office by busting in and singing and performing. And they're doing that like, what do they call that? Some type of marketing to promote the show. And it was so awkward because Michael goes, hey, this is great. I'll audition for this. What part did I get? Right? Remember that whole awkward thing? Do you remember that the episode then went on that they actually went to the show? Some of the people from The Office went to the show that Andy was in. Do you remember some of the shenanigans that went on during that show?
So let's see. They had a bottle of wine, and Michael put it down, and it rolled all the way down, step by step by step. He had balloons. Let the balloon go. It went up in the air and popped.
Yep.
Aaron brought the baby to the play.
Right. Yes, she brought the baby. Andy had a crush on Aaron, was waiting to get a phone call from her, had his phone in his pocket on stage. It starts ringing. Remember that? Interrupts the show that he's in. All those things. Well, here's the point. Beaver, I'm not telling you what to do. I think if you will go back and watch that, you will agree with me. Of a show that was built around the awkward, and the top of the awkward moment charts for The Office was Scott's Tots. I think that episode in season 7 that you and I just described, if you go back and watch it, is one of the most uncomfortably awkward and funny but uncomfortably awkward shows in the history of the show. And if you were to poll office lovers, they're not going to mention it. But if you then present it to them the way I present it to you and they watch it, they're going to go, yep, you're right. So I'm not telling you to go watch it. I'm just suggesting it. How about that?
You know, I can get on board with you, because another part of the awkwardness was the actor that got that part that Michael wanted. Michael was booing him. And was it intermission or after the show? It had to be after the show. And he even confronted Michael about it. And Michael's like, nope, I heard some other people.
He went, no, I saw you. You were the only one. Thanks a lot. I'm telling you, man. You need to go check it out again.
Also, let me journey back to that cold open you spoke of. All right. My favorite part of that cold open was when Dwight gets out that big knife from his desk, and there's just a split second where the camera just gets a real quick close-up just of the knife, of him holding it.
He was ready. This is a throwdown. He thought they were being invaded by weirdos. And he got his knife out. You know, another funny moment right there is they start singing, right? Aaron behind the desk looks at Andy while he's performing and goes, hey, did you write this? and did you write this? Ask him if he writes. You know, and right after that, he it was Dwight. Beaver, you may have forgotten this. Probably not, but you may have. Andy was asking him to please come and attend the show. And Dwight goes, I'm not going to that. Last time I went to a theater, what do you say? Last time I went to a theater show, a guy dressed as a cat sat in my lap. And he says, I'm not going. And that experience scared him off forever. He had obviously gone to see cats. All right. Total non sequitur. I had to tell you about it, Beaver. I knew I'd forget it. I knew I would. I got too much else going on today. So light bulb goes on. I gotta put it in your lap. More texts, more calls. Got a little bit of time left when we come back here today in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. I'm Matt. Beaver's here. All of us here. Stick around. Back after this.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Back. A little bit of time left. Coming to your comments on the live stream as well. Sven and Will and Hunter and others over there on the YouTube live stream. Thank y'all for being here. Got the audio issues finally fixed this week. On the text line, More Bully. Beaver, I don't know if you saw his text. More Bully texted the show and said, I just got a text that I'm carrying the show today and I'm not even on it. And then he says, that's power. Well, yeah, it's true. It's true, More Bully. It is. It's true. Yeah. What I would say to that, I would quote Roy Hobbs from the movie The Natural. He was talking to sports writer Max Mercy, played by the great Robert Duvall. And Max Mercy, the sports writer, said, all these people want your story. They're saying you did this, and they say that you used to be a farmer, and now one person even said you killed somebody. And there was a pause, and Roy Hobbs looked at Max and said, well, let them believe what they want to believe. More Bully, I love you. We love you. Please come back. Call us on Monday. Just having fun. Just having fun, that's all. Jason said, listening to Rooster talk about himself is like watching Forrest Gump just show up everywhere of importance for no reason at all for 50 years. That is so true. It's so true. Rooster's like, I couldn't go against the Mannings. I used to play catch with Archie Manning. I'm the one who started that. He said that before about different things. I was there. Oh. I gave the Egg Bowl its name. Jason said it's like watching Forrest Gump just show up everywhere of importance for 50 straight years. It's so true. I used to play catch with Archie Manning. Taught him how to throw a spiral. That is great. All right, here are Sven's predictions. He's got LSU beating Bama by 7. He's got Georgia beating Ole Miss by 0.5 point or by 1,000. I don't care as long as Georgia wins, he says. He says South Carolina will roll over Vandy by 2 touchdowns and Indiana will steamroll Michigan. Hunter said fried green tomatoes with cornmeal greater than fried green tomatoes with flour. So he'd rather have them rolled around in some cornmeal and fried. And you know what? I will say, Hunter, the fried green tomatoes I've had ever eaten growing up somewhere that someone had fixed, at home or cooked at home, were that way. They were in cornmeal. And I've had them different ways, different restaurants. Now, on the State game, State at Tennessee, let's see, ESPN says Tennessee is 24-point favorite there at home Saturday night. Sven says Mississippi State will cover, and he's saying something like 35-21. Oklahoma beats Missouri by 3. He says Florida's going to give Texas all they can handle but lose in a close one. So Texas by the hair of their chinny chin chin, he says. State, Tennessee, it's obvious State plays a team that, is SEC level. It has been this way all year. It's going to be that way again here in the month of November with these next few games. State must score 40 points to be in and around the game and kind of have a chance to maybe pull off the upset. State must score 40 points because it's just where State is defensively right now. Now, again, what you would love to see is Matt be wrong and go, man, State's defense played its best game that it's played all year. They create 3 turnovers and they got some TFLs and they were all over the place and they just played great. And that was the reason. And Matt said they couldn't do it and he was wrong. And I'd be fine with that. Okay. But if you're just looking at the whole product on the year, I've seen every play and I'm just telling you, against an SEC offensive line, and let alone a quarterback like that, they're going to score. And so if State wants to be in it, they kind of know what they're up against offensively. They're going into these SEC games anyway going, we got to score 40. Okay, that's the number. Well, you can't think about 40 points. You got to execute. You got to run 65, 70 plays, and you execute 98.7% of them well. You want to score 40 points against these SEC defenses, right? That's where they are. So, there you go. And the other thing is start better. Even against UMass last week, State started poorly. I think it's indicative of teams where, in certain positions, key positions, you have younger players. A freshman quarterback and freshman tackle. And, you're playing some younger ones on defense now because of injury. But you do have to be able to start games better and just come out of the chutes, and especially on the road in the SEC. Sven went on to say Ole Miss didn't face a real team, and the ones that they did handed them an L. He calls Ole Miss overrated. And he said, Matt, your real problem is when you speak against Ole Miss, a lady in wait at home slaps you behind the ears. He says, I'm just joking. Yeah, not really. I'm sure that's the case for some, but Annabeth, she's proud of Ole Miss and loves them and wants the football team to win, but that's pretty much during the game on Saturday. And like the rest of the time, she's like, I don't, to say she doesn't care is not the right word. It's just there are 8 million other things on her mind other than that the rest of the week. And then that game, so I guess she really doesn't care during the week. Yeah, that's right, Will. We're talking about that episode of The Office. Erin was supposed to be babysitting Jim and Pam's daughter, and she brought her to the play, and the kid starts crying and all that kind of stuff. Sven commented and said, we had problems scoring 40 on UMass. Well, but that's kind of where it is. Okay, let's just look at this, and I'll show you what it's not as simple as, well, Matt's just saying that based on the results of the year, looking back at scores. No, I'm saying it's going into these games, I was saying the same thing. You know, I've watched a lot of football. I've never seen a defense at State like this one, who, you know, against decent offensive line was as helpless as it is. Okay, so you kind of know where you are in terms of what you're going to have to score if you want to have a chance to win. And so for State in these losses, you give up 30 to Arizona State, but look at the points total since then. Look at what you've given up since then, since giving up 30 to Arizona State. You've given up 41, 45, 35, 41, 34, and 58 to Arkansas. Okay, and then this past week in a win, you scored 45 against UMass after, you know, the first quarter. State really only played they only executed 3 quarters of football and scored 45 points. That first quarter, they just didn't even play, you know, for whatever reason. But gave up 20 to that UMass team. So the lowest points totals you've given up were the 2 wins, 7 to Eastern Kentucky, 20 to UMass here this past week. Well, we know this Tennessee deal is a whole different animal. It's about kind of having this one magical Saturday to pull off an upset somewhere. That's where they are with Tennessee and Missouri and Ole Miss left. Having this one magical Saturday where against a team that's a lot better than you, particularly when your defense is on the field, finding something, getting a special performance or two, and getting an extra turnover here or there. Maybe they have a bad day and offensively you score and you go pull this thing off, but that's kind of where it is. That's just where it is. I mean, those points totals there that you've given up, yeah, it's a pretty good run of teams. You're talking about a stretch in there that included Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, but also Arkansas, Florida, Toledo, 41 to Toledo, which kind of got this whole thing going. It's really clear to me, really clear, against teams with an offensive pulse, State must score 40 points if it wants to be in the game with a chance to beat somebody. That's where it is right now. And a good part of that problem, State's defense, is personnel. It's why, sure, I'm sure there's some defensive play calls they want back, you know, in certain situations, and particularly one right before halftime against Texas. And, you know, sure, they can, the people they do have can execute some things better at times, and line up better and not make mistakes, but mostly it's a personnel thing, which makes it really hard to even evaluate your coach or your coaching staff when you're sending them into the Lions den every week with a little stick, is what it kind of feels like sometimes. Meanwhile, on the other side for Tennessee, okay, Sven, you know, you look at what they've done. Got 1 loss on the year, and that was scoring 14 points on the road at Arkansas. But in the rest of them, they've scored 69, 51, 71, 25 against Oklahoma, 23 in overtime against Florida, 24 against Bama, and last week 28 against a stout Kentucky defense. You know, the matchup physically means that even if they execute kind of on an average, they're going to score 35 points. And if they execute well, they're going to score a lot more. State's got to score points. That's just where the program is right now. All right, thank y'all so much. I enjoyed it. All the texts, the phone calls, the comments over there on YouTube, everybody. Just appreciate y'all so much. Hope you enjoy the weekend. We'll reconvene on Monday here in the Bureau. See you then. See you.